Hey everybody, my name is Ed. Okay, we're gonna do a kind of a haul video, a review video, haul video. I finally kind of caught up with most of the more recent comics, and I got a couple other things that might be interesting to talk about. So okay, let's see here. Today's beer is this thing. I have no idea how to pronounce it, but I just know it's Pilsner from Czechoslovakia. So cheers. Okay, so we're just going to do some quick reviews. Then I'll show you some of the comics I bought, and then I'll talk about a couple of books I bought this week. So this is from last week. Betty Page number 4. This is the end of the arc where she's in London and she meets Winston Churchill's wife, and there's a whole thing with the aliens and whatnot. Yeah, let's see here. So it was here, is that better? Oh, this glare. So it was a fun romp. I really did enjoy the art and whatnot. Issue 5 is out now, but I decided not to get it. The artist for the new arc has a more cartoony style, and while I don't think it's bad, it's just not what I'm into for this type of comic. But like I said, it was fun. It was lighthearted. It was enjoyable. So okay. Wonder Woman 70. I know a lot of people have been kind of underwhelmed by G. Willow Wilson's take on Wonder Woman. It's not been bad, but I think a lot of people, like I said, have just been underwhelmed. They had high hopes after she was able to make such a big splash a couple of years ago with Ms. Marvel. And this is kind of like, so far, it's just been like an okay comic book. I think with this arc, the whole thing with the goddess of love and forcing people to come in love with her, and everybody in the street, they're all following their desires and things. It's kind of fun. It's not too heavy or anything. What do I want to say? The artist, I can't read it, is oh, here. Zermanico, I think is really good. I think it's another case of a really good artist elevating a storyline that's just sort of okay. But I do like the figure drawing. I like the compositions. I like the layouts, and it really works for what I think a Wonder Woman comic should be. Maybe if Wilson just steps up the drama just a notch, I think we'll have a really, something a little bit special would be happening here. Okay. Captain Marvel number 5. This is the end of this arc where Carol Danvers goes to the kind of there's been this barrier placed in New York, and Nuclear Man, who's a rework of an old 70s villain, Machismo or whatever his name was, he has been kidnapping all the female superheroes because he wants to mate with one of them or whatever. And there's this whole thing with his son. His son's kind of a disappointment, which is why he wants to have another kid. Here's some interesting things with Carol Danvers and Rogue. If anybody knows the histories of those characters, they have kind of this connection. There's Carol leading Echo and Spider-Woman, and new She-Hulk is involved as well. It was an okay story with some okay art. It was decent. It was all right. I'm probably going to drop off at this point. I think that they're going to start getting into the whole crossover with the War of the Realms and whatnot, and it's just not something I'm really into. So again, decent comic, didn't blow me away, but it was fun for what it was. All right. Speaking of War of the Realms, I know I just said I'm not into the event, but I did want to check this out. the new Agents of Atlas. Basically, they're using a name from a title they had a few years back called Agents of Atlas, and that Agents of Atlas was a kind of revamp of a lot of the 50s characters or characters who were originally published back in the 50s for Marvel, and they kind of made a team out of them. Got an okay fan response, but didn't sell super great. So now they are reusing the name for a team of all Asian characters. So okay, it's not. It's not. I think I'm not too sure. It's a couple, most of these characters I know, but a couple of them I don't. I'm not too sure who are brand new characters. I think I want to say this character in the corner they bought from some other company or something like that. I don't know. I don't know the whole. I don't remember the whole story. But having said all that, his first issue, it's not bad. Basically, demons or whatever are attacking all over the place. And so Jimmy Woo, who was the leader or the FBI liaison or whatever of the old agents of Atlas, he's kind of doing this sort of PSA thing with some of the other Asian superheroes, and then all of this thing with the demons and whatnot happen. And so, of course, they have to actually form a real team. And that's basically what the first issue is right here. I don't think the whole team is together as a team yet, but yeah, it's the sort of getting the band together thing. And as such, it's not bad. It's all right. It's okay. Black Hammer number 10. I don't have anything new to say about it that I haven't said before. Just really enjoyed this comic. We're heading towards the climax. So yeah. Excellence number 1 from Image. Haven't read it. Can't tell you anything about it. Let's see here. Conan number 6. I've still been enjoying Conan for the most part. Haven't read number 6 yet, but everyone I've read so far, I kind of like. I have not been reading the text piece. I have not been reading the novella because I don't know. I don't have a real reason. I just haven't made myself read it. Okay, so comics I got this week. Gideon Falls number 13. Uh, Still one of the best comics out there. It's getting really weird and creepy as we go into the. I'm not even too sure how even to describe it, but we're getting deeper and deeper to the whole thing with the Black Barn and its history and the whole. I don't even know if the guy's supposed to be a demon or whatever the fuck he's supposed to be, but yeah, just wow. All right. Black Widow number 5. This is the end of the miniseries. It was an okay story. Um, I'm a little bit. Well, let's see here. The whole premise was Black Widow has to go to Madripoor to find out who's stealing children, and then uploading like snuff films or live, torture porn or whatever you want to call it. And she's kind of being incognito. The story kind of references the fact that she's back from the dead, but she doesn't want everybody else to know about it. I don't know why, but okay. But she kind of like throws herself into this mission, and it's okay. It's okay. I like the premise of the story. I like the plotting. For the most part, the pacing for the most part is pretty decent as well. I did have a problem with the uh, dialogue and some of the captions. I just felt the writing was a little bit clunky. Could have used a more polished next draft, but it's okay. I appreciate it that it's the Black Widow going on a new mission as opposed to having yet another story of oh my past with the Red Room or oh I'm on the run again or whatever. So okay, all right. I think the Black Widow movie is supposed to be going into pre-production pretty soon. So, all right. Naomi 5, Brian Michael Bendis and Jamal Campbell and David Walker. Uh, it's actually picking up for me here. This has got to be the second to the last issue of the first arc where we kind of find out the origin of this character. And you know what? It's actually coming together. At first, it was pretty slow moving. You know, you got that typical Bendis uh, deconstruction, but now it's working. Now it's working for me. I actually um, enjoy it more than the other stuff that Bendis has done for DC that I've read. I haven't read any of the Superman stuff. Ooh, that's actually giving away too much, or maybe not. But I haven't read the Superman stuff, but I did read like Pearl and I did read Cover, and me thinking that those are like, it's kind of creator owned stuff. I kind of thought that they would be written a little bit better, but those were they weren't awful, but they were underwhelming. You know, it was a little bit disappointing for me. I haven't read this either. I haven't read United States versus Murder Incorporated. So anyway, but yeah, Naomi is pretty good, and it's like I said, it's coming together for me. So the next issue is going to be the climax of this first arc. So I'm okay. I'm all right. Okay. Oh, what's this? Written by New York Times bestselling Cami Garcia, illustrated by Gabriel Piccolo. To remember her past, she must face the darkness within herself. This is a new young adult graphic novel, Raven. So that's interesting. Like DC's done a few of these. I know there's this one. There's the Catwoman one. Um, I don't. Let's see here. I think there's one about Mira, Aquaman's wife or girlfriend or whatever. So I'm curious as to how well those are doing. I know that Marvel about a year ago was doing all these kind of. I don't think they were graphic novels though. I think they were just novels, young adult novels, featuring some of their female heroes. She-Hulk and Black Widow and whatnot. So it's interesting to see them kind of branch out into other areas of the publishing world or whatever. I hope they are doing well for them, whether or not I'm interested in those things or not, but we'll see. Little Bird number 3 really got interested in it because of Ian Bertram's art. It's kind of this sort of part Mobius, maybe part Frank Quietly or whatever. But I find it very interesting and intriguing. The story's okay, something about totalitarian government or theocracy taking over Canada, and the main character's mother or family, or whatever, has been killed by the government, and then but she goes and rescues the big rebel hero or whatever, and forms a friendship with him. And that's this guy here, I guess. That's this big guy. And and there's all this kind of crazy stuff going on. I really like the look of the comic. I really like all the designs and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to me, just purely on a visual sense. Ah! Oh no, I'm ripping apart my comic. Here's another cool thing. Okay, alrighty. Okay, so other stuff I got this week I thought was do we want to talk about this? Oh, just really quickly. Uh, This is looks like an ad for the next DC big event. Don't really care that much about it. Year of the Villain. It just doesn't seem that interesting. This I was kind of interested in just because it's Jonathan Hickman. While I don't read everything he's done, I do respect him as a writer. But on the other hand, it's it looks like it's yet another one of these X-Men alternative world stories, and it's like they do this story, this exact same story every 2 years. Every 2 years, it's another variation on uh, Age of Apocalypse or whatever. You know, I do like this artist though, so I might check out the first couple of issues and see how it goes. But you know, but yeah, that's what's bugging me. Excuse me. It's another one of these alternative universe X-Men stories, and then it's Hickman on one of his superhero stories. So it's like, mm, is this a story that's gonna be done in like 6 to 10 issues, or is it gonna be done in like 24? So I don't know. Okay, all right. Now, other interesting thing I got is I bought this at the used bookstore. Well, I got two things at the used bookstore. Let's talk about this. Oh, fucking glare. Sandman by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. So, let's see here. Okay. All right, so here's the other cover. So, this basically reprints. It's a hardcover reprint of the Golden Age Sandman stories they did. So, let's see here. The intro is by somebody named John Wall. I don't know who that is, but check this out. Adventure Comics. And it's basically Sandman, I guess, is like this two-fisted mystery man crime fighter. And he's got his sidekick, Sandy. And they beat up criminals and mobsters and saboteurs and spies and people like that. Jack Kirby's art is really interesting here because it's very different. It's still recognizably Jack Kirby, but it's very different than what I'm used to seeing from that Silver Age and Bronze Age art that most of us kind of know him for. Of course, it's very pulp influenced and whatnot, but it's also the little bit I know about old timey newspaper strip art. Stuff like Milton Caniff. I can see that style. That was the style of the day, of course. But you can totally see that in what he's doing here. So this will be fun to get into whenever I actually get around to it. Oh, there was what's this? Oh, check this out. Superman says, buy war stamps. Help national defense. Jumpin' Jeepers. Oh, but this was the other thing that was interesting, right? All these stories are, I'm laughing. There's a lot of caricatures, it looks like. Or I don't know if there's a lot, but I see some, wow. I was going to talk about caricatures of people from the Orient. But anyway, what I was going to say is all these stories, they're all, excuse me, Golden Age stories from the 40s, except Sleepy Time Crimes. See, like this here, this literally looks like Milton Caniff, and I think of guys like Frank Robbins and people like that. When I was a kid, I didn't really understand Frank Robbins' art when he was doing stuff like The Invaders and like Captain America and stuff like that. Then, as an adult, at some point, I had seen a reprint of some war story he had done, and then I got it. Then I totally got where Frank Robbins was coming from. You know, he's somebody that, you know, made his style doing a certain thing, and then he comes over to Marvel in the '70s, and they're trying to get him to do Jack Kirby-ish type style, and that's why his stuff always looked really weird and awkward to me. You know, where he's got people, he's trying to do those Kirby-esque dynamic poses and what, and it wasn't really a easy fit for him. It's really intriguing to me now these days too, knowing what I know. But okay, enough about Frank Robbins. Um, I keep getting distracted. But I was going to say it's interesting that all these stories are Golden Age stories except for the last one. It's a reprint of Jack Kirby's revamp of Sandman as more of a fantasy supernatural guy from the mid '70s. I think it's from like '74-ish. Well, let's see if it says. I'm sure it does. Yeah, it does. General Electric from Sandman #1, Winter 1974. Okay, so here we go. This character and his little sidekicks, well, I don't even know if they're supposed to be his sidekicks here, but Brute and Glob, uh, this character does show up in Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Uh, in a kind of funny one-off story where it's revealed that Brute and Glob are really kind of running a show, and this Sandman is kind of this sort of delusional guy that they kind of let go off on his adventures, but they're really the people who are kind of saving the day and keeping things in order. So, okay. All right, okay, so that's that. Okay, so the other thing I got, oh, excuse me, is Rum Diary by Hunter S. Thompson. I'm not a super big fan of Hunter S. Thompson. I'm not an expert, but I've always been aware of him. I've read a couple of his books. I've read like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I've read Generation of Swine. I saw the Fear and Loathing movie um, starring Johnny Depp, and who was the director? Terry Gilliam. I remember thinking was pretty good at the time I saw it. And I know there was a movie back in the early '80s starring Bill Murray, Where the Buffalo Roam. Uh, I did not see that. I did not see that. And I know it's supposed to be a heavily fictionalized version of Hunter S. Thompson. And I want to say another movie came out uh, a few years ago. I might be getting screwed up in my mind though. But I want to say it was about Hunter S. Thompson's friendship with I can't even remember now. His lawyer, the guy who was his sidekick in Fear and Loathing. But this book, I guess, was this Rum Diaries. I guess this was written late '50s, early '60s, I guess. And okay, I don't know anything about it. Begun in 1959, By then 22-year-old Hunter Thompson, The Rum Diary is a brilliant, tangled love story of jealousy, treachery, and violent alcohol lust in the Caribbean boomtown that was San Juan, Puerto Rico in the late 1950s. Exuberant and mad, youthful and energetic, Rum Diary is an outrageous, drunken romp in the spirit of Thompson's best-selling Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and Hell's Angels. So it might be fun to get into that. What else was I gonna say? Oh, if anybody's familiar with Transmetropolitan by DC, it was written by Warren Ellison, and I can't remember the name of the artist who drew it, even though I can picture his visuals or whatever. The main character, Spider Jerusalem, is this kind of cyberpunk, futuristic version of Hunter S. Thompson. You know what's killing me? I've read like some random issues, and then at one point I said, okay, I'm gonna go through all the trades and stuff, and I have the first trade, and I still haven't made myself sit down and like read it, cover to cover yet. So okay. Oh, no, more fun trivia. More fun trivia. Uh, the Uncle Duke character from the Doonesbury comic strips from the 70s is loosely based on Hunter S. Thompson. And supposedly Hunter S. Thompson is not a fan. He can't stand Gary Trudeau or whatever his fucking name is, who did the comic strip. And what other funny thing was I going to say? Oh, there was that Motley Crue album, Generation Swine, took its name, of course, from Generation of Swine by Hunter Thompson. Okay, I guess that's it. The video's starting to ramble. I'm starting to get a little buzzed here. So I guess that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Everybody have a good day.